Apparently, California Governor Gavin Newsom does not want you to celebrate Independence Day this weekend. In California, you can't go to the zoo anymore. You can't go to a museum. You can't go to a bar. You can't go to a winery. You can't go to a restaurant unless they have socially distanced outdoor dining. You can't go to the beach in many California counties unless you want to face a $1,000 fine. You will also be fined if you don't wear a face mask indoors or outdoors in some places. You shouldn't set off fireworks either, Newsom says. And get this, Governor Newsom doesn't want families to gather together to celebrate July 4th unless they already live together. Here's the funny part. As Governor Newsom, I assume, is reading paranoid headlines like California sees 70% spike in COVID-19 cases, here's the truth. This isn't just true in California, by the way, it's true across the country. The new cases of COVID-19 are young people. As reported by the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, and I quote, half of the new COVID-19 cases detected in recent weeks have been in adults under the age of 35, Vice President Mike Pence said at a June 26th press conference held by the White House Coronavirus Task Force, end quote. According to the Conservative Review regarding the spike of COVID cases in Minneapolis, and I quote, there appears to have been a massive spike in cases among those in their 20s, right around mid-June. Those in their 20s consistently accounted for roughly 20% of all cases going back to May. Yet, now, they account for 59% of new cases since June 25th, end quote. In Houston, Texas, according to Newsweek, protesters who took to the streets in a George Floyd march of 60,000 people are beginning to fall ill with coronavirus. And who are these protesters, demographic-wise? That's right, young people. The median age for new COVID cases in Ohio and in Florida has dropped from over 65 years old to the 30s or early 40s. Why is that significant? According to Dr. Scott Atlas at Stanford, and I quote, the fatality rate in New York, which was the hardest hit area in our country, for people between the ages of 18 and 45 is 0.01%. or 11 per 100,000, end quote. Funny how Governor Newsom doesn't mention that. He let protesters fill the streets, social distancing be damned. When he agreed with their ideology, he allowed it. But now, when the whole nation wants to celebrate our independence, Governor Newsom says no. Is there anything more antithetical to liberty than a power-crazed politician selectively enforcing draconian laws, targeting people he disagrees with, and turning a blind eye to his political cronies? So do it. Celebrate Independence Day this weekend. As John Adams said after the Declaration of Independence was passed in the Continental Congress 244 years ago, and I quote, the second day of July, 1776, will be the most memorable epoch in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shoes, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward, forevermore. End quote. Happy Independence Day.